Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this session dedicated to energy solutions and circular economy, hosted by Cleantech Bulgaria, the leading business network in Bulgaria with mission to develop sustainable growth through innovation. We work with entrepreneurs, science and technology deliverers, and business administration, cities, and young talents in order to achieve that. My name is Maria Alexandrova, and I'm a project manager at Cleantech Bulgaria, dealing with innovation management, entrepreneurship development, and system change. So today I will present you a very complex topic, and I was thinking during my preparations for this session how to place the context for this topic in order for all of you to relate to it, regardless of the country from which you're watching us today, or regardless of the sector and specialization which you come from. And a piece of news came just 2 days ago, which actually made my task easier, though it is not a positive news. On 13th of December, this Saturday, United Nations held a global summit to mark the 5th anniversary of the Paris Climate Accord. And on this summit, the Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, urged the world to declare climate emergency. His tone was unprecedented, and he was calling the world leaders to pledge immediate actions in order to cut with almost half the carbon emissions that we commonly produce through our economic activity. Well, there was immediate response, of course, from countries like United Kingdom and the European Union in general, who have placed already concrete targets and pledges with time horizon of 2030. But there are more countries that need to come in front and declare their commitment, such as China, Japan, Russia, Brazil, and with United States of America, which are just coming back to this topic recently. So I think this piece of news is undoubtedly setting which is one of the greatest priorities of our times. And now to the topic of energy. So what is the relations of energy to the climate emergency topic? Actually, the role of energy is fundamental. You see on the graph to the right that every human activity more or less requires energy. There are two major resources, for the gas emissions that create these negative implications on climate. And as you see, one of them is simply electricity generation, while the other is food and land use. But the bad news is that all the segments to the left of the graph are also requiring energy in order to operate. We use energy in our buildings, in the industry, and also in transportation. So energy is a huge, huge topic that we need to address in order to meet this climate emergency agenda. But to transform such a field is really, really complex task, simply because it takes system change. Energy has social implications, social layer. It has technology relations that are really play within certain particularities. And it also has many main layers in many value chains. So we need not only to tackle the generation of energy, the resources from which we together extract energy from, which is now very popular under the term just transition, how to turn to another sources of energy that are restorable and more and not so harmful to the planet. But also it takes new ways of handling energy and as storage and distribution. And when we speak about distribution, it is not only physically delivering energy when it needs to be consumed, but it also concerns the topic of energy poverty and just governance models. Waste to energy is a topic that connects another important question, another important challenge of our economies, what to do with the escalating waste that we produce. But it takes not only technology, it takes regulations, it takes new business models, and probably setting new roles within the value chains. Energy efficiency in infrastructure is, of course, another very important topic. And all these fields that need transformation require solid and adequate policy mix, and not only mix but measures. And sometimes it takes also communication, close collaboration between the different countries, regions, um, to implement this policy mix successfully, because energy sectors also at different regions of the world, and especially in ours in the Balkans, are characterized by huge segmentation, which is not helping to the, not adding up to the picture. And energy value chains are not easy to disrupt. They need disruption, but they have particularities that make it really a complex and difficult task. For example, many of the core technologies for energy distribution and production are invented 100 years and more ago. And in general, these energy value chains rely on really traditional technologies. Only in the recent years, we see really pressing regulations or rising incentives for this sector to change. Previously, just a couple of years ago, the incentives, the stimuli for change in this sector were not very proclaimed. Just the recent Green Deal of the European Union is such an example of concrete and decisive incentives and regulatory approach towards this sector. And the Green Deal is celebrating 1 year since its announcement, which is really a fresh strategy for the European Union. And on top of that, we should also mention that really disruptive technologies that can replace or produce significant shift, are more or less vivid on a large scale, just in the recent 10 years. But as one very influential scientist says, in every challenge lies an opportunity. So my graph to the right actually is trying to suggest that we should view these huge challenges as huge opportunities for us. The graph that you see on the right is derived from economy theory, which claims that global economy rises according to cycles. So, and every cycle, a couple of decades, is driven to rise, to achieve new progress because of a certain technological development. For example, 200 years ago, it was the rise of the steel industry and the railways, excuse me. And, and we all witnessed the informational technology revolution happening just at the end of the previous century. And the good news is that many investors and experts in the field of clean tech unite themselves around the scenario that the next rise of the curve, the next economy progress on the global scale, will be driven exactly by technologies related to energy transition towards more sustainable forms of operations, such as the renewable technologies, the smart grids, the cloud computing, blockchain applications, and that sort of solutions. Well, this was the global picture and the global view. How about the Balkans, the region that this event is dedicated to? Well, let's take just the first challenge of the energy transformation, and it is how to cut off the fossil fuel sources of energy, the just transition agenda. On the map that I have presented to you, you can clearly see the regions in Europe with the most employees in this coal and fossil fuel energy industry. And these are the dark red, the more red sectors and countries in the diagram. So obviously, the Balkan and the Danube region are really very, how to say, challenged. The challenge here is greater than in other parts of Europe. How to transform the energy generation topic. To add up to this, our region is not very famous with energy efficiency in general, in terms of building stock, in terms of infrastructure, and in many, many other fields we need improvements like distribution and liberalization of markets and so on. The markets are still very fragmented, and the level of deployment of new technologies in the energy sector is really low. So I would say that it is even more than relevant for our region that we should tackle and discover and explore new approach to energy management. And this is already happening on the global scale. And we think that the answer for this huge transformation that is needed is partially in supporting entrepreneurship, into accelerating new technologies and fresh way of thinking, alternative approach to this industry and to these value chains. On the graph you see here, a record of the investments attracted by startups in the United States market, which is relatively one of the strongest markets in terms of clean tech investment. So it's a good reference point. And what makes an impression to us is that for the last 15 years, there is one train that really flipped itself, and it is that the most investments were attracted by startups that rely on hardware technologies, on deep tech, and this trend appeared from 2003 to approximately 2011 years. And afterwards, it turned out that the investors focused more on startups in the clean tech field, which develop software-based solutions with more exponential potential. And also, if we take a narrow view on this trend and examine some concrete deals, it turns out that the secret sauce of the most successful startups in this clean tech field is actually the innovation in the business model. It is rarely the technology itself, the software itself. It's more like applying it to a concrete energy value chain or subsector with a very innovative and original approach that could unlock disruption in the value chain. But still, another characteristic of this type of development is that cleantech startups are difficult to scale. It is difficult to scale in this field. Therefore, I would like to draw your attention to a project that we are now implementing in the Danube region, but actually most of the countries in the Balkans that we speak of today are involved in this project. And it is still running, so I invite you to join in and to uh, visit our website and exchange some ideas probably and see how we can join forces. But still, as we reach very successful key milestones in the middle, I'm encouraged here to share these results with you because we believe that this approach that turned successful in the Danube Energy Plus could be applied in another innovation hubs, in another topics across the Balkans. So we can scale this model and really influence the change. So the Danube Energy Plus is a project focusing on developing entrepreneurs in the Danube region in the field of energy. So energy solutions for sustainable energy management, value chains, and generation and storage. We implemented this project in an international consortium supported by the Interreg program. 9 partners were involved in it. And just for a bit more than 1 year, we managed to scout more than 1,000 young people and talents with interest in the energy field and entrepreneurship. And we selected and worked with more than 100 of them, and they went through an innovative training program and tool, thanks to which they managed to develop above 60 innovative ideas for ventures in the energy field. Some of these ideas turned out to become startups. Now they win competitions, startup awards, and some of them receive funding and continue their path through accelerators all across Europe to develop further their startups and identify a path to scale. We also worked on the other side. We attracted seasoned experts and professionals from all these countries in the Danube regions to work with these young people and to share the industry insights, to try to understand how to help them attach these fresh ideas to these traditional markets, to these traditional technologies, and validate what would be the best path to success. We are very proud that through this experience we managed to touch and intervene to 20 business areas, 20 business sectors and markets, which are now enriched by these entrepreneurial ideas, and more or less this will support the development of the entire ecosystems and hopefully inflict and contribute to the change into the value chains of energy. Well, the lessons learned in this journey, which, by the way, you will further hear more details about how we managed to achieve all these, is I think it's worth mentioning what our consortium managed to validate. So the essence of our experience is that it is not sufficient only to support entrepreneurs to take their ideas and educate them how to develop them in a structured and disciplined way, how to validate with real customers and with real market cases whether these ideas will survive in reality. Simultaneously, we need to develop the ecosystems that need to absorb these new solutions, but not only to absorb, but to attract all the key stakeholders and help them reach common understanding about their role in support of entrepreneurial ideas, about creating the environment that will make these ideas flourish and these technologies be deployed. And this was a very valuable experience to us, and we are very proud that the project managed to develop not only innovative knowledge tools to support the entrepreneurs. By the way, the tools are still active, so if it's an interesting topic for you, you can try it together with us. But also we worked a lot on the development of the ecosystem, and I'm talking here about the ecosystem on the regional level that goes beyond the country borders and provides this common vision that the region shares common challenges, and for some topics they need to commonly address these challenges in order to be successful. And this was particularly valid for the topic of energy, which faces this fragmented markets difficulty. And now I will pass the floor to my colleague Nicola Kolev, who is going to present you in detail what you managed to achieve, with what kind of stakeholders we worked in the countries, and what are the tools that are still available, and you can even switch in and try them, which will be a great pleasure for us. So with this, I will pass the floor to Nicola. Nicola, do you hear me?
Hello everyone, my name is Nikola Kolev and I speak to you on behalf of Cleantech Bulgaria. The transition to a circular economy is of vital importance because we're the first generation to experience the effects of climate change and possibly the last one that can do something to prevent it. Due to this reason, it is my greatest honor to present to you the Danube Energy Plus project. Before we begin, I would like to say that no presentation can possibly give justice to the effects of the project, but I will attempt to provide you with an overall illustration of the components and results of the Danube Energy project. And without further ado, we will now begin the presentation. The entrepreneurship environment in the Danube Macro-region is less developed in comparison with other EU countries. This is because young innovators and companies often fail to find sufficient funding, resources, people with experience who can guide them, and most importantly, sufficient knowledge on the topic. For that reason, the overall objective of the project is to create an enabling environment that will support young innovators to pioneer change in the energy efficiency area by setting up highly innovative startups in the Danube Macro-region. The partnership consortium consists of 9 companies in 9 states. These are in Germany, Bulgaria, Slovakia, Slovenia, Croatia, the Czech Republic, Romania, Serbia, and Ukraine. It also consists of 7 associate partners whose goal in the project is to assist us in creating the enabling environment and to further support the innovative startups. The activities of the Danube Energy Plus project are to create a beneficial ecosystem for the sustainable development of the energy sector, to connect key actors in order to maximize the development of energy innovations, to support innovative solutions through an innovative training program, and last but not least, to achieve a trans-regional sustainable cooperation throughout the Danube region. All these activities are to be achieved with the implementation of the Danube Energy Plus ecosystem package. The package is a learning system which purpose is to advance the knowledge of key regional innovation ecosystem actors, which include regional public authorities, universities, business support organizations, and industry actors. The package helps create an enabling environment for innovation by guiding ecosystem actors in their identification of young innovators in their ecosystem, the motivation of these young innovators to further develop their disruptive ideas into workable, marketable solutions. The implementation of the Danube Energy Plus tool in order to boost the knowledge of the young innovators so they can scale up their ideas into successful business ventures. And last but not least, to establish a connection of the young innovators with other key stakeholders in the regional ecosystems. The Danube Energy Plus pilot tool was performed in 2 stages during 2020. The first stage is the identification and motivation of young innovators. To reach out to them, each of the partners carried out a number of half-day visits and motivational workshops. Depending on the factors in their environment, the partners applied a variety of approaches, such as networking with the local ecosystem, which included the contacting of the partners' organizations like incubators and accelerators, co-working spaces, and more. Establishing a cooperation with contacts with leading universities. Attracting the lead startups and industrial experts as lectors in motivational workshops. Organizing or attending appropriate events such as fairs and conferences where the target group, the young innovators, was present, and last but not least, active media coverage in the most predominant social medias such as LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. The second stage of the implementation of the pilot tool was conducted with the performance of 3 types of events. These are trainings, demo days, and connecting events. In regards to the trainings, the partners have taken pretty much the same approaches for the Corona challenge in the process of the implementation of this step. As we all know, the Corona pandemic struck the world as a surprise, and we all had to adapt to it. This was done by switching from physical to virtual meetings. The conduction of all the trainings was dependent on the level of readiness of the partners' teams for reorganization, transition from physical to virtual, and maybe in some situations postponing the events from 1 to 5 months. The technical tools that were used were Zoom, MS Teams, Miro, Canvanizer platform, and WhatsApp groups. The demo days were included in the second part of the pilot, and all the Danube Energy Plus young innovators were enabled to get professional feedback by potential investors and business angels, as well as by energy professionals. The connecting events were done in the late summer and early autumn and were organized for all highly motivated and hardworking young innovators, teams with potential investors. Now I will allow myself to present to you the results of the Danube Energy Plus tool in figures. More than 1,000 students covered in the process of identification and motivation. More than 100 young entrepreneurs were trained due to the program. 60 innovative ideas were created, developed, and shared to the world. 46 mentors were engaged in a training program. 20 business areas in the focus of innovative ideas of young entrepreneurs were covered, and more than 230 people attended the demonstration days. More than 85,000 people were familiar with the project. Now, I will allow myself to discuss a little bit about the lessons learned which we managed to acquire from the young innovators' feedback. The creation of a young team of young innovators with different technical expertise is one of the factors of success. This was even more evident this year due to the coronavirus pandemic, which challenged us all, and we were forced to switch our events from physical to virtual ones. The increasing motivation to participate in the program is stimulated by the presentation of successful startups in the motivational workshops. This is very important because in order to transform a startup idea into a successful business venture, it requires a lot of hard work and dedication. And by having successful startups on these motivational workshops, the young innovators can motivate themselves and be inspired to achieve their goals. It was really important to switch from physical to virtual training instead of postponing them or canceling them. This maintained the integrity of the project, and we managed to keep on schedule as much as we were able to. The focus of mentors on participants' motivation and ability to stick to their business idea and grow it, and not lose interest at the first sign of trouble. The mentors are the people to whom the participants look upon to, and focusing on their motivation was key in order to be able to transform their business idea into a successful venture. And last but not least, there was a huge importance of the pitch desk, which was so it can tell the audience what they should do and possibly give them the motivation to do so. Now we will discuss a little bit more in numbers the young innovators' feedback. As you can see from this graph, they're most satisfied about learning how to build a business model and transform their idea into one. As we mentioned in the introduction, they're least satisfied with the information on how to secure the resources they need. But this was expected because this is possibly the hardest step from transforming your startup into a working business venture. Now I will allow myself to read some quotes from our partners in Romania, Germany, and of course, us in Bulgaria. This is also connected to the effectiveness of the applied methods for reaching out to young innovators. Social media not useful as there are not enough followers as expected by all partners. A social campaign not backed up by other methods is not sufficient enough. It does not provide the necessary credibility to a new program. That said, program is worth signing up for, offering as many opportunities to interact with the organizing team face-to-face or via online webinars and giving them value. Motivation workshops with industry leaders, even before the start, the pre-acceleration program convinced many not only to apply, but also to finish with the Danube Energy Plus tool. This is from Startup Transylvania Center in Romania. For the German pilot, this was the cooperation with Axel, the energy accelerator, and the chance for all young innovators to apply for the team training and later onwards to the one-year team development program of Axel. This was done due to the availability of a well-established ecosystem, and the German team wanted to emphasize on its importance. The interactions with representatives of target groups, students, to motivate the youngest target groups is always intriguing and very demanding. The half-day visits were implemented with representatives of leading universities and innovative communities from our respectful partnership network and were performed in person in the beginning of the year prior to the introduction of the national restrictive measures against the COVID-19 pandemic. Thus, we managed to organize highly productive and efficient visits with the target group. These visits bring significant added value for the establishment of the Danube Energy Plus hub from Cleantech, Bulgaria. It is very important to stay as flexible as possible and to adapt the pilot format in accordance to the circumstances. In ENERGY case, the fast switch from physical to virtual training due to Corona, ENERGY, Germany. The lessons learned from the pilot implementation were, first of all, constant communication with participants, constant reminder of where they are in the program and what they still have left to do. This helped them stay on track. From the Startup Transylvania Center in Romania, an initial scanning was performed on the applications jointly between the project team and the mentors. It was seen the applicants were a mix of ideas, teams, and individuals. Based on this knowledge, the exact structure and agendas of the sessions were defined in order to best suit the needs of the applicant. Now I will allow myself to read some messages and feedback from the young innovators regarding the program. What I liked most was the feeling that what I learned made me rethink about what I have done so far in developing my business idea from Airbox. The new Energy Plus gave me the push I needed to start my own company, and it helped me learn how to identify customers' needs from Alexandrova. the possibility to start developing new technologies and innovative ideas on the market that doesn't even exist in our region is my motivation to apply to the New Energy Plus training program. Considering the current situation, we needed to think and act fast. This program provided high value in a short period of time, just 2 weeks. Now I need to expand the team and apply all the tips and tricks I picked up from Semir Puturak-Masek's. The New Energy is a well-crafted program for early-stage ideas. It helps you carve the raw ideas into a solid business design. It is an interesting experience because it broadens your perspective, but at the same time narrows your focus on important aspects of making your idea into a reality. Ushan from Kotos, Efemera, Bulgaria. Now, before we conclude, I would like to briefly discuss the plans of the New Energy Plus project for 2021. This is the creation of the New Energy Plus hubs, and it is going to be performed in 2 stages. The first of all is a strategy for trans-regional Danube Energy Plus hubs, the creation of reasonable sustainable structure in regional ecosystems, which would help the guidance, identification, and motivation of young innovators. And secondly, creating a regional action plan of the New Energy Plus hub in Bulgaria, which is the regional policy, institutional and financial measures to support the creation of a regional sustainable structure and a favorable environment for young innovators. Now, as we come to the end, I would like to thank you all for your attention. The project continues, and these are our channel for contact. Now we're going to show you a couple of videos so you can witness our work and get you even more excited about the project. Again, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Nicola, for this extensive presentation of the project. I hope it was interesting for our audience. And now, as a closure to this session, I would like to help you dive into the atmosphere of the New Energy Plus. I will now present you a short video material that will get you acquainted with the representative of the coordinator of this project, EAT ENERGY. This is the community managed by the European Institute of Technology, which is a body of the European Union, helping innovations in the regions to spur. And EAT ENERGY is the knowledge and innovation community that specializes exactly in sustainable energy solutions. We had the pleasure to work with the team in this project, and now I will present you a video from Mr. Dick Basso, who will present you not only what was our motivation, but will get you acquainted with one of the teams that we worked with that achieved remarkable success throughout the program. Enjoy, and we'll come back in 4 minutes back here.
Told you that you could make a difference in that look. By taking responsibility and having courage to do something difficult, you could potentially change the world.
We see 4 big challenges for the transformation of the energy system. It's first the decarbonization of the whole industry in Europe and the energy sector. Second, the growth of renewables. Perhaps at the end, renewables will be the main basis of the future energy system. The third part is that we have more and more decentralized energy systems. The fourth is digitalization as a basic trend of all industries.
We developed a pre-acceleration program that will help you tackle those challenges.
The idea is to promote new innovation for the transformation of the energy system in a very, very early stage, where usually private money is not that much available. ENEREGY is the lead partner of this Danube Energy Plus project, and we are bringing all the expertise and all our experience we have so far with energy startups. I believe that education is important for the whole business life nowadays, but extremely important for young professionals who will be an innovator and entrepreneur at the end. And our idea is to build competences before and really to have the phase before you set up your own company.
Meet Ivan Miloš, a young innovator who is striving to make a difference in today's world.
I was still in high school when I started with the company, and only money I had was the money for like buying something for breakfast in school or things like that. When I started the company, I don't think that my education, or at least knowledge about how to run a company, was on some high level. At the real beginning, so 5 years ago, it was really hard because first of all, my background was mostly technical background. For us, first real advisors were our first investors. Actually, when we were closing first investment round, we met a few lead investors with who we are still in contact even today. It's really something special when you know that something that you were working on for the last 5 years is used by 1 million people every year. That's really cool.
Finding a mentor and education can be tough, especially in today's world of information flowing everywhere. Our program will give you exactly what you need: mentorship, experience, and knowledge to start changing the world. You will be able to validate your idea, iterate, communicate with others, and even find a deeper problem to solve. We are looking for energy innovations. Even if you don't have a revolutionary idea that might change the world, the aim of this program is to advance your knowledge in the development of sustainable energy solutions. A solution that someday might become a business that is changing the world and changing the life of everyone surrounded by the impact of what was sometimes just an idea.
I believe that nobody is a pure-born innovator or entrepreneur. You will come to be an entrepreneur. You will have a way to be an innovator in the future. So, our program helps people to take this journey from having the first idea to start a project, and at the end there should be the first idea to build up a company and to be a really entrepreneur. And so this is a quite new way to have this pre-acceleration at the beginning, and then to be prepared to be a professional young entrepreneur.
You can gain knowledge in some areas that maybe you don't have enough information currently. You can learn from other people that had experience in private sectors or some other sectors who maybe work in some different countries or some different continents. Whatever you have in your head, you need to try to do it to accomplish it, and it doesn't matter who is telling what to do about that.
Okay, so I would like to close the video with the call that this project is still on. We have more remarkable startups in our cohorts in all the countries that implement it. So if you by any chance have investor interest, contact us. We might be able to provide you really valuable connections to entrepreneurs from across the Danube region. If you want to get inspired from more stories like the one of Ivan and his company include, I would like to also invite you to take a look at the brochure of the project. Brochures of projects are not very interesting reads sometimes, but this one is different because it will present you 12 case studies from the countries that we work in, of live teams that operate, that validated their ideas. Some of them have ready-made products, others are progressing with their prototypes. And we have made a selection from every country with some highlights. But if you want to delve deeper, go to the end of the brochure where you're going to find our contact details in every country. So if you have a particular interest in any startup or in any country as a profile or information that you need or contacts, please welcome and use this page. And with this, I would like to close our session. It was a pleasure for me to present you this topic. I hope I evoked your interest, and I hope that you'll get back to us and discuss possibilities to work together, join forces, or exchange ideas about the sustainable future of energy in the Balkans. Thank you very much, and have a lovely, enjoy your stay in the conference.